Did you know that the secret to transforming your life's biggest challenges into your greatest opportunities might have been discovered over 2,000 years ago? Imagine facing life's most brutal storms with a calm so powerful that nothing, absolutely nothing, could shake your inner peace. Sounds like a superpower, right? But here's the uncomfortable truth: you already have that power every day. You are letting your emotions, your circumstances, and the chaos of the world dictate your happiness and peace. You're allowing the storms to control you, to tear apart your sense of self. The real question is why? Why let life's uncontrollable forces burn you out when Stoic wisdom offers a way to reclaim your strength to find peace amid the madness? This ancient philosophy teaches us that while we can't control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. And that, my friend, is where true freedom lies. If you're tired of being a passenger in your own life, if you're ready to take the wheel and steer yourself toward unshakable peace, then stick with me. This journey is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world around you. If you're ready to embrace this shift, to take ownership of your mind and your actions, then I invite you to subscribe for your own good. It's about committing to growth, to self-mastery, and to living a life aligned with your highest values. Let's walk this path together. Focus on what you can control. Life has a way of throwing challenges at us when we least expect it. We've all been there, stressed out, rushing, trying to get everything done, and then bam, something goes wrong. Maybe it's a traffic jam when you're already running late, or a comment on social media that hits you like a punch in the gut. It feels like the universe is out to get you, doesn't it? But here's the thing that might surprise you. You can't control most of what happens in life. The traffic, the weather, the people around you, they're all beyond your control. But the one thing you do control 100% is your reaction. This is where Stoicism comes in. The ancient Stoics, like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, believed that the key to peace and happiness lies in focusing on what you can control and letting go of the rest. It's a simple idea, but one that can completely shift the way you navigate life's challenges. It's not the traffic, the negativity, or the chaos around you that's causing your stress. It's how you choose to respond. Think about that next time you're stuck in traffic. Do you let your blood pressure rise, getting angrier with each passing minute? Or do you take a deep breath, shift your mindset, and use the time productively? It's all up to you when you focus on what's in your control. Your thoughts, your mindset, your actions. You take back the power that you might have unknowingly handed over to everything around you. Carl Jung believed that our responses to external events shape who we are, not the events themselves. So every time you face something that seems out of your control, remember that your reaction is the one thing you get to choose the next time you find yourself stuck somewhere, frustrated by what's happening. Take a deep breath, acknowledge that you can't change the external situation, and then shift your focus inward. Can you use that time to think clearly, listen to something positive, or even relax? You absolutely can. And in doing so, you regain control over your peace of mind, which is something no traffic jam can ever take away. When we embrace this Stoic principle, we start to build emotional resilience. Imagine facing life's challenges not with anger or frustration, but with calm acceptance. It's like having a shield around your peace of mind. And yes, this takes practice. You won't always get it right. But with time, it becomes easier. Just think of the long-term impact. Less stress, more clarity, and the ability to focus on what matters instead of letting life's little hiccups throw you off course. You learn to keep your eyes on the road ahead, both literally and metaphorically. Now let's take this idea of focusing on what's in your control and apply it to another area of life, our relationships. How often do we get upset because someone said something that we didn't like, or someone didn't act the way we expected? We can't control other people's behavior, but we can control how we respond to it. Here's the thing: you can't change the actions of others, but you can choose how you engage with them. If someone cuts you off in traffic, for example, you can choose whether to react with anger or let it slide. When someone at work or in your personal life says something that rubs you the wrong way, you get to decide whether to react emotionally or respond with understanding. While we can't change other people's behavior or the world around us, we have complete power over our own minds. By focusing on what's in our control, our thoughts, reactions, and actions, we reclaim the strength that's rightfully ours. It's not easy, especially when someone pushes our buttons. But the practice of Stoicism teaches us to respond to others with empathy and self-control, rather than letting their actions determine our mood. Imagine how different your relationships would be if you could consistently respond with calmness and clarity instead of reacting impulsively. You'd be able to navigate disagreements more effectively. Maintain your peace, even in tense situations, and most importantly, stop letting others take away your inner calm. This shift doesn't just make you feel better. It strengthens your relationships by making you a more stable and thoughtful presence in the lives of others. Here's where the power of Stoicism really comes to life in how it shapes our everyday interactions. By learning to focus on what we can control, we're also learning to become more mindful of our responses. And this isn't just some abstract feel-good philosophy. There's a practical side to it. For instance, next time you're overwhelmed with everything on your to-do list, instead of letting it all pile up and create anxiety, take a moment to focus on the task at hand. Ask yourself, what can I control right now? What's the next step? By taking small, manageable actions instead of trying to control everything all at once, you not only reduce stress, but also become more effective in tackling your goals. The Stoics teach us that we don't need to be perfect. In fact, they believe that perfection is not the goal. The goal is progress. Small steps every day lead to big changes. It's about taking responsibility for what's in your control and doing your best and letting go of everything else. It's the opposite of being a perfectionist. It's about realizing that some things are simply beyond your reach. And once you accept that, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to control everything around you. Carl Jung had an insightful take on this when he said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people." When we accept that we can't control everything around us, we stop projecting our frustrations onto others. We begin to see the world for what it is, full of imperfections and uncertainties, and learn to navigate it with a sense of clarity and control. This shift in perspective is what allows you to stop reacting negatively and start responding thoughtfully. So what does this all mean for you right here, right now? It means taking responsibility for your own peace. You might not be able to control what happens at work, or the frustrations of daily life, or the behavior of the people around you, but you can control how you react. And by consistently choosing calm, mindfulness, and clarity, you create a life that is less chaotic and more centered. That's not a small thing, it's a game changer. Stoicism doesn't promise that life will be free of obstacles or frustrations, but what it does promise is that by focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your reactions, and your mindset, you'll be able to navigate those obstacles with grace and strength. This principle alone can transform the way you experience life. Imagine facing setbacks without feeling defeated, navigating tough situations without feeling overwhelmed. It's possible, and it starts with understanding this simple but profound Stoic lesson. Focus on what you can control and let go of everything else. 2. Embrace the obstacle. It's easy to get discouraged when life throws you a curveball, whether it's a job rejection, a difficult conversation, or something unexpected that turns your plans upside down. The initial instinct is often to ask, why me? It's like the universe is conspiring against you, and you can't help but feel frustrated. But what if I told you that this mindset, while natural, is exactly what keeps you stuck? What if the very obstacles that seem to block your path are actually the things that could propel you forward in ways you never expected? This is exactly what the Stoics believed when they said the obstacle is the way. This might sound counterintuitive at first, but once you understand it, it can completely change the way you approach life's challenges. The Stoics didn't see obstacles as mere hurdles to jump over or problems to solve. Instead, they saw obstacles as opportunities for growth, learning, and transformation. Think about it. Every setback, every failure, and every difficult moment is a chance to test your resilience. It's a moment to dig deeper and find strength you didn't know you had. When things don't go as planned, you are forced to adapt. You are forced to think creatively, to reframe your perspective, and to discover new ways to approach life's challenges. That's where growth happens. It's in the struggle, not in the smooth sailing. When you face an obstacle, try to shift your mindset instead of focusing on how unfair it is or how much it hurts. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? That simple shift in perspective can change everything. It allows you to approach the situation with curiosity instead of frustration, with the mindset of a learner. Rather than a victim, when you stop seeing obstacles as something to avoid or resent and start seeing them as opportunities to grow, you take back control. You turn a setback into a setup for something better. And isn't that a more empowering way to live? Our perception shapes our reality, If you see a rejection as a reflection of your worth, it will hurt deeply. But if you see it as a stepping stone on the path to something better, you can approach it with resilience and clarity. This doesn't mean pretending the setback doesn't hurt. It just means acknowledging the pain while recognizing that it doesn't define you. Your response to the obstacle is what truly matters. Carl Jung echoed this sentiment when he said, "What you resist persists." In other words, fighting against the obstacles in your life only makes them stronger. The more you resist something, the more it has control over you. On the other hand, if you can learn to embrace the obstacle, to accept it, and ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" you reclaim your power. Obstacles then become opportunities to expand your understanding of yourself and the world around you. You stop being passive in the face of adversity and start becoming an active participant. In your own growth, this shift from resistance to acceptance is where true transformation happens. Let's take an example to make this more concrete. Imagine you've just been passed over for a promotion at work. The initial reaction might be anger, disappointment, and even a bit of bitterness. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, "I wasn't good enough. This is unfair. Why does this always happen to me?" But what if instead of letting that frustration take over, you stopped and asked yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Maybe there's feedback you can take to hard areas where you can improve or skills you need to develop. Maybe the job you didn't get is actually a blessing in disguise, pushing you toward a better opportunity down the road. When you choose to embrace the obstacle, you shift from a passive reaction to a proactive mindset where every challenge is a chance to grow. The Stoics didn't just talk about embracing obstacles, they lived it. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about how to face challenges with grace and wisdom in his meditations. He often reflected on how obstacles were an integral part of life and how they should be embraced as opportunities to refine our character. He believed that obstacles weren't just external problems. They were internal challenges that tested our resolve, our patience, and our wisdom. The impediment to action advances action. He said, in other words, what stands in the way of your progress isn't something to avoid. It's what pushes you to move forward, to find new paths, and to become better than you were before. This mindset isn't just about intellectual understanding, it's about putting it into practice every day. We face challenges big and small, and every day we have the choice to either see them as setbacks or as opportunities. A difficult conversation with a friend, a frustrating work deadline, or a personal disappointment. Each of these moments presents an opportunity to grow when we embrace the obstacle. We not only grow stronger in the face of adversity, but we also build resilience and wisdom that will serve us in future challenges. It's not easy to change your perspective, especially when the obstacle feels overwhelming. But the Stoics teach us that this shift is the key to living a life of purpose and meaning. It's in overcoming the obstacles that we build, the qualities that make us truly resilient: patience, courage, perseverance, and wisdom. The more we embrace obstacles, the more we see that they're not things to fear or avoid, but things to embrace. They are the raw material from which we carve our character and our destiny. Take a moment to reflect on the challenges in your own life. Are there any that you've been resisting or resenting? Are there obstacles you've been avoiding because they feel too hard, too painful, or too unfair? What if you could change your perspective and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What if you could see every setback as an opportunity to grow, to become stronger, and to move closer to your goals? By embracing the obstacle, you shift from being at the mercy of life's circumstances to becoming an active participant in shaping your own story. One of the most powerful aspects of Stoic thought is its ability to help us see the world through a lens of acceptance, not resistance. When you accept that obstacles are a natural part of life, you stop seeing them as something to be feared and start seeing them as something to be used. They become tools for growth rather than sources of frustration. And by embracing them, you cultivate a mindset of strength and resilience that will carry you through even the toughest times. It's not just about mental toughness either. Embracing obstacles can help you emotionally too. It allows you to move through challenges with grace, and without losing your sense of self. You stop being so attached to outcomes and start focusing on the process. You begin to see that the journey itself is just as valuable, if not more so, than the destination. Every obstacle you face is a part of that journey, a part of your growth. By embracing the challenge, you learn to savor the process and to find meaning in every experience, even the difficult ones. In the end, the Stoic principle of embracing the obstacle teaches us that we are never truly defeated. As long as we continue to learn and grow, life will never stop throwing challenges our way. But when we approach those challenges with the mindset of the obstacle, is the way we turn each setback into a step forward. We stop waiting for life to be easy, and instead we become stronger, wiser, and more resilient with every obstacle we face. So the next time life throws a challenge your way, remember, it's not a roadblock, it's an opportunity. An opportunity to grow, to learn, and to build the life you truly want by embracing the obstacle. You are not just surviving life's challenges, you are thriving through them. 3. Live in the present moment. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, thinking about everything you need to do tomorrow? Or worrying about something that happened last week? It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of the future or the weight of the past, isn't it? We've all done it. Stress about what might happen, regret over what already has. But here's the truth, all that worrying is happening in your head, not in the present moment. And the present moment, as it turns out, is all we ever really have. The Stoics understood this better than anyone they taught, that in order to live a fulfilling life, we need to focus on the here and now. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the future or the past. It means acknowledging them, but not letting them control you. The future is important, of course, you plan for it, set goals, dream big. But when you're constantly thinking about it, you miss what's happening right in front of you. The same goes for the past. It's easy to get stuck in regret or guilt over mistakes we've made, but the past is gone. It's not something we can change. What we can change is how we approach today. This simple shift in focus can have a massive impact on our mental well-being. When we stop letting the future or the past dominate our thoughts, we can truly experience life in a richer, more meaningful way. Imagine this. You're sitting down to a meal. It's easy to shovel food into your mouth while scrolling through your phone, thinking about what's coming up later. But what if instead you really focused on the meal in front of you? The smell, the taste, the texture, everything suddenly eating becomes an experience, not just a task. This is living in the present moment. It's about giving your full attention to whatever you're doing, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. Think about a conversation you're having with a friend or family member. How often do we listen, but not really listen? Our minds drift to what we're going to say next, or what's coming up later in the day. But when you really listen without distractions, without thinking ahead, you create a deeper connection. You become more present, more connected to the person in front of you. This is the heart of Stoicism, being fully present in every moment. The Stoics believe that by focusing on the present, we can cultivate inner peace and clarity. Because it's only in the present that we have the power to act, as Epictetus said. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The fewer distractions and desires we allow ourselves, the more we can enjoy what's right in front of us. The problem is our culture doesn't really encourage living in the present. We're constantly told to plan ahead, to always be thinking about the next thing. It's no wonder we're all so stressed out. Our minds are like overactive machines constantly jumping from one thought to the next. But here's the thing. This constant future chasing and past worrying only adds to our stress. It creates a kind of mental clutter that keeps us from experiencing life. As it actually is, living in the present moment isn't just a mental exercise. It's about shifting your entire approach to life. It's about being intentional with your time and energy. Think about how many times you've spent an entire day thinking about the things you need to do without actually doing them. Or how many times you've let your mind wander to the past or the future when you should have been focusing on the task at hand. By choosing to live in the present, you take back control over your life instead of letting your thoughts dictate your actions. You allow yourself to be fully present with whatever you're doing. This doesn't just make life more enjoyable, it makes it more productive too. The beauty of living in the present moment is that it helps you find joy in the little things. Instead of waiting for some grand event or future achievement to bring happiness, you start finding satisfaction in everyday experiences. Whether it's enjoying a cup of coffee in the morning or laughing with friends over dinner. These moments are what make life meaningful. It's easy to overlook them when we're always thinking about what's next. But when we choose to slow down and be present, we realize how much beauty there is in the here and now. This idea of being present is not just some fluffy philosophy. It's grounded in practical wisdom that can change how we experience the world. The Stoics knew that our thoughts and emotions are incredibly powerful. They shape our reality. If we're always thinking about what's next or regretting what's past, we miss out on the richness of life as it happens. But when we make the choice to focus on the present, we put ourselves in a position to respond to life with clarity and purpose. This kind of focus creates a sense of peace because it removes the mental noise that often clouds our judgment. Imagine how different your day would be if you could stay present throughout it, instead of rushing through everything, checking off items on your to-do list. While thinking about the next task, you focus on the moment in front of you. You give your full attention to each person you talk to, each task you perform, and each decision you make. Not only will you feel more at peace, but you'll also make better choices. This is the power of the present moment, and it allows you to show up as your best self, fully engaged and clear-headed. But let's be honest, living in the present moment is easier said than done. We live in a world that's constantly pulling our attention in a million directions. Our phones, social media, and the pressures of daily life make it hard to stay focused on the here and now. But the good news is it's a practice. Just like any skill, it takes time and effort to get better at being present. Start small. Try focusing on one task at a time instead of multitasking. Take a few minutes each day to sit in silence and clear your mind. Practice mindfulness by paying attention to your breath or the sensations in your body. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to stay present in your day-to-day life. You'll also find that living in the present moment helps you manage stress more effectively when you stop worrying about what might happen or what has already happened. You are able to face challenges with more calm and clarity. Instead of getting overwhelmed by the future or the past, you can take things one step at a time. This isn't about avoiding stress. It's about learning how to manage it by focusing on what's within your control. The present moment, living in the present moment, also allows you to make deeper connections with the people around you. When you're truly present, you listen better, you engage more fully, and you appreciate the people in your life in ways you might have missed before. Instead of thinking about what you need to do next, you can be there for the people you care about, offering them your full attention and presence. This not only strengthens your relationships, but also deepens your sense of fulfillment. In conclusion, living in the present moment isn't just a nice idea. It's a powerful practice that can change the way you experience life by focusing on what's in front of you rather than getting lost in the past or the future. You can find more peace, joy, and clarity in your day-to-day life. This practice allows you to fully engage with the world around you and embrace each moment as it comes. So the next time you catch yourself worrying about what's ahead or what's behind, remind yourself to focus on the present. The present is where life happens, and it's the only moment you truly have. 4. Practice self-discipline. There's a lot of talk about self-discipline these days, isn't there? We hear it everywhere on social media, in motivational speeches, and even in our own minds. But what does self-discipline really mean? It's often seen as this rigid, almost joyless concept, like you're some kind of robot who never gets to indulge in anything fun. We picture someone who's always sticking to a strict schedule, turning down treats, and putting in hours of work without ever taking a break. But that's not what self-discipline is about. In fact, self-discipline isn't about depriving yourself of enjoyment. It's about making conscious, thoughtful choices that align with your long-term goals, not just your immediate desires. It's about choosing what's right over what's easy, even when it feels uncomfortable. The Stoics had a powerful way of thinking about self-discipline for them. It wasn't about suppressing desires entirely. It was about learning to control them. Stoics understood that life is filled with distractions, temptations, short-term pleasures, and instant gratifications that pull us away from what's truly important. But if we're not careful, these fleeting desires can lead us off course. The real challenge is in learning to say no to the things that derail us from our long-term goals, whether it's skipping the gym for a Netflix binge or impulsively buying things we don't need. These small decisions add up. It's in these moments that self-discipline is tested. Think about the last time you were faced with a choice. Maybe it was getting up early to work out or hitting the snooze button. Maybe it was deciding to spend time on a personal project instead of scrolling through social media. In these moments, self-discipline is the deciding factor. It's not about saying no to fun or pleasure. It's about making a choice that serves you in the long run, even if it feels tough in the moment. Self-discipline is about taking control of your actions and recognizing that your choices shape your future. And that doesn't mean you have to live a boring, restricted life. It just means you're learning to balance immediate gratification with long-term growth. Self-discipline is deeply tied to self-awareness. It's about understanding who you are, what you truly value, and what you want out of life. When you practice self-discipline, you're essentially saying, I know what's good for me even when my impulses try to steer me in a different direction. In that sense, self-discipline isn't about fighting who you are. It's about aligning your actions with your deeper values and long-term aspirations. It's about becoming the person you want to be, not just indulging in the momentary pleasures that might feel good right now but hold you back later. It's also important to recognize that self-discipline isn't something that comes naturally to everyone. It's a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. Real freedom comes from having control over yourself and your actions. This is where the power of self-discipline lies, in learning to direct your energy toward what matters most, instead of being swept away by the whims of momentary desires. It's about mastering your impulses, not letting them master you. And this takes time. It takes constant, small actions that add up. One of the best ways to build self-discipline is through consistency. It's not about making huge, grandiose changes all at once. It's about making small, steady improvements. Every time you choose to skip that extra snack or decide to tackle a challenging task, instead of procrastinating, you're building self-discipline. And with each choice, you become stronger over time. These small decisions compound, creating a new habit that reinforces itself. This is how the Stoics lived. They practiced self-discipline in small everyday actions, whether it was practicing mindfulness, avoiding distractions, or making thoughtful decisions. Their philosophy was rooted in the idea that it's the small, consistent efforts that lead to real transformation. In fact, Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This quote speaks directly to the heart of self-discipline. It's about the small, repeated actions that make you who you are. Excellence doesn't come from a single moment of brilliance. It comes from daily commitment, from choosing what's right over what's easy. Time and time again, if you want to be someone who is strong, disciplined, and successful, you have to embody those qualities every day. In every decision, no matter how small, each act of self-discipline builds your character and reinforces your capacity for growth. Now let's talk about how self-discipline impacts your goals. Most of us have dreams, big dreams, whether it's starting a business, writing a book, or getting in shape. We all have something we want to achieve. But here's the thing, dreams don't come true by simply wishing for them. They come true by taking consistent, disciplined action. The problem is our minds are constantly pulled towards short-term pleasures. It's easy to get distracted by the immediate rewards like watching TV or scrolling through your phone, but self-discipline is about setting clear boundaries and choosing the long-term rewards. Instead, it's about recognizing that the satisfaction you get from achieving your goals is far greater than the fleeting pleasure of giving into distractions. Think about it. If you want to run a marathon, you can't just hope that one day you'll wake up and magically be able to run 26 miles. It takes consistent effort, training every day, pushing through the discomfort, staying committed even when you don't feel like it. The same applies to any goal you set for yourself. Self-discipline is the driving force that keeps you on track when the going gets tough. And it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Even on the days when you don't feel like it, the act of showing up, of making that small discipline choice, adds up over time. Self-discipline also plays a key role in our ability to handle setbacks. Life rarely goes as planned, and obstacles will inevitably come your way. But when you practice self-discipline, you build resilience instead of letting challenges knock you off course. You stay focused and adapt. The Stoics were masters at this. They didn't shy away from challenges. They welcomed them. They understood that adversity was an opportunity to practice self-discipline and grow stronger. The obstacles that seem to block your progress are actually the things that help you grow and improve when you choose to persevere. Even when things get tough, you develop the self-discipline that allows you to overcome anything in your path. And it's this resilience, this ability to stick to your goals despite setbacks, that separates those who achieve their dreams from those who don't. Self-discipline is not about avoiding challenges. It's about facing them head on and choosing to stay focused no matter what. When you build the muscle of self-discipline, you become unstoppable. Every setback is just a step toward your ultimate goal. Every small, consistent choice adds up to big results at the end of the day. Self-discipline isn't just about saying no to distractions. It's about saying yes to the life you want to create. It's about choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term gratification. And with every act of self-discipline, no matter how small, you're moving closer to becoming the person you want to be. So remember, self-discipline isn't about being perfect or living a joyless life. It's about making choices that align with your deepest values and long-term goals, and doing it consistently every single day. 5. Build emotional resilience. Life has a funny way of throwing us curveballs when we least expect it. One moment everything seems to be going well, and the next you're facing a challenge that knocks you off balance. It's inevitable. We all go through tough times, whether it's personal loss, failure, conflict, or disappointment, and when it happens, it can feel like the world is caving in. You might feel anger, frustration, sadness, or fear. These emotions can be overwhelming, sometimes even crippling. But here's the thing, while we can't always control the external events in our lives, we can always control how we respond to them. This is where emotional resilience comes in. It's the ability to bounce back, to get back on your feet after life knocks you down. And the Stoics were masters of this. They understood that emotions, while natural, don't have to control us. We can feel them, acknowledge them, but ultimately, we don't have to let them define us. The Stoics believed that we are not our emotions. We are not the anger we feel after an argument, nor the fear we experience when facing uncertainty. Instead, they taught that we are the ones who have control over how we react to those emotions. Epictetus said men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This means that our emotional response to an event isn't dictated by the event itself, but by how we choose to interpret it. Imagine a tough situation. Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted, or a close friend let you down in that moment. Your emotions may flood in. But the Stoics would ask, how are you interpreting this situation? Are you choosing to see it as an insurmountable obstacle, or as a challenge that can help you grow? Emotional resilience doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about acknowledging your feelings without letting them dictate your actions. It's natural to feel hurt or angry when life doesn't go as planned, but it's what we do next that matters. Do we let those emotions hijack our decisions, or do we take a step back, reflect and respond from a place of calm and reason? The key to resilience is learning to pause just for a moment before reacting. This pause allows us to reflect on the situation and choose a response that aligns with our values rather than being swept away by impulse. It's the difference between reacting emotionally and responding thoughtfully. Carl Jung believed that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. What does that have to do with emotional resilience? Well, part of becoming who you truly are means mastering your emotions. When we let our emotions control us, we give away our power, but when we take a step back and choose how to respond, we reclaim that power. Emotional resilience is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about learning to respond to life's difficulties with composure, understanding, and clarity. It's about developing the strength to face challenges without letting them destroy our sense of self or our peace of mind. Think about a time when you faced adversity. Maybe it was a difficult breakup, a tough decision at work, or a health scare. In those moments, your emotions may have run high. It's easy to fall into a pattern of reacting impulsively, lashing out, shutting down, or spiraling into self-doubt. But emotional resilience is about creating space between the emotion and the action. It's about feeling the emotion, really feeling it, without letting it take over your actions. You might feel anger after an argument, but that doesn't mean you have to say something you'll regret. You might feel fear when faced with a new challenge, but that doesn't mean you have to avoid it. Resilience is about meeting life's challenges with a clear mind, a calm heart, and the wisdom to know that this moment, no matter how intense, will pass. Emotional resilience is also about recognizing that adversity is part of the human experience. The Stoics didn't see life's difficulties as something to avoid, but something to embrace. They understood that obstacles are opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the idea that the challenges we face are part of life's natural order. He wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This is a profound perspective. It suggests that the very things that seem to block us are actually the things that help us grow. Every setback, every disappointment is an opportunity to practice resilience, to learn, and to become stronger. Instead of resenting obstacles, the Stoics encouraged us to embrace them, seeing them as a chance to practice virtues like patience, wisdom, and courage. This mindset shifts our approach to challenges from something negative to something constructive. When we face adversity, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the emotions that come with it. But the Stoic approach encourages us to see these emotions as temporary. Passing storms, not permanent states of being. Instead of being defined by the emotions we feel in difficult moments, we can choose to see ourselves as bigger than the situation. It's like when you're caught in a storm. The rain and wind may be fierce, but you're not the storm. You're the person standing in it, holding steady. Emotional resilience is about holding steady. No matter how strong the storm might feel, it's about knowing that no matter what happens, you can handle it. Another important aspect of emotional resilience is learning to be kind to ourselves when things don't go as planned. Too often we're our harshest critics. When we fail or struggle, we beat ourselves up as if that will somehow help the situation. But the Stoics knew that self-compassion was key to emotional resilience. They understood that mistakes and failures are part of the learning process, Seneca wrote. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This quote highlights the tendency we have to exaggerate our struggles. We worry about how bad things could get. Even when the actual situation might not be as dire as we imagine, resilience means facing life's challenges head-on without drowning in self-criticism. It means giving ourselves the grace to fail, learn and grow, rather than getting stuck in shame or regret. One way to build emotional resilience is by cultivating mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment without judgment. When you're mindful, you're not lost in your emotions or overwhelmed by the past or future. You're simply aware of what's happening right now. And when difficult emotions arise, mindfulness allows you to observe them without getting swept away by them. You can feel the anger, sadness, or frustration, but you don't let it control you. Instead of reacting impulsively, mindfulness gives you the space to choose how to respond. This doesn't mean pushing away your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It means acknowledging them without letting them define your actions. The things we repress or ignore in ourselves, our fears, insecurities, and emotional reactions, will continue to control us unless we confront them. Emotional resilience is about becoming aware of these emotions and learning to navigate them with clarity and purpose. It's not about eliminating negative emotions, it's about understanding them and not letting them drive our decisions. Ultimately, emotional resilience is about finding balance. It's about accepting that we will face difficulties and feel intense emotions, but that we don't have to be consumed by them. It's about learning to ride the waves of life with grace without letting the ups and downs toss us around. The Stoics didn't teach us to avoid emotions, they taught us to approach them with wisdom. They believed that we can feel deeply without being controlled by our feelings. This balance between feeling and reason is the cornerstone of emotional resilience. When life gets tough, remember you don't have to be defined by your emotions. You can feel them, understand them, and move forward. Emotional resilience is not about being immune to pain or hardship. It's about knowing that you have the strength to overcome them time and time again, just like the Stoics taught us. Adversity is an opportunity to grow. Embrace it, learn from it, and come out stronger on the other side. 6. Memento mori. Remember you will die. Have you ever really thought about your own mortality, not in a fearful or depressing way, but in a way that motivates you to live more fully? We tend to live our lives as if we have all the time in the world, don't we? We procrastinate, we put things off, we take people for granted. But deep down, we know that life is fragile. We know that time is limited. So why do we keep acting as though we have endless time to get things right? This is where the Stoic practice of memento mori comes into play. It's a practice that reminds us, remember you will die. Now, I know it sounds a little morbid at first, but bear with me. When we truly embrace the idea that life is short, we stop wasting time on the trivial. We start focusing on what truly matters, and it radically changes the way we live. Memento mori isn't about living in fear or obsessing over death. In fact, quite the opposite. It's about living with intention and purpose. Marcus Aurelius often meditated on the idea of death. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is a profound reminder to live each day as if it were our last, not in a reckless, hedonistic way, but in a way that encourages us to focus on what's really important. Our relationships, our health, and our happiness. By acknowledging that time is limited, we begin to make better choices, not just in how we spend our time, but in how we treat others and how we show up in the world. When you think about it, death is one of the few things in life that's certain. No one knows exactly when their time will come, but we do know that it will, and that knowledge, while sobering, can actually be empowering. It can shift your entire perspective on life. Instead of putting things off, you start asking yourself what really matters. What are the things you want to accomplish before you run out of time? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? When we remember that our time is finite, we stop getting caught up in the distractions and trivial concerns that so often dominate our daily lives. Instead, we focus on living in a way that aligns with our deepest values. To truly embrace the idea that life is short, we have to come to terms with who we are right now. We have to accept ourselves as we are, with all our flaws and imperfections, and live in alignment with our true selves. The Stoics believe that by reflecting on our mortality, we are forced to confront the transient nature of life, which in turn helps us live more authentically. When we remember that time is limited, we stop wasting it on things that don't matter and start living with greater purpose and intention. But let's be clear, memento mori isn't just about focusing on the end of life. It's about using that awareness to make the most of the present. It's a call to action. It's a reminder that we don't have time to waste when we reflect on death. We're not supposed to become paralyzed by fear or anxiety. Instead, we're encouraged to take control of the time we do have. We become more intentional with our actions, more present with the people we love, and more focused on what we want to achieve. It's about appreciating each moment and not allowing the little things that irritate or distract us to steal our joy. The idea of memento mori also forces us to think about our relationships. Think about how much time we spend on things that don't matter. Scrolling through social media, arguing over trivial issues, or getting caught up in drama. Now think about the people in your life, your family, your friends, your loved ones. How much time do you spend with them? How often do you express how much you care? Marcus Aurelius also wrote, "You are a little soul carrying around a corpse." In other words, we are not our bodies. We are the soul, the spirit. The body is just a vessel, temporary and fleeting. By remembering that our time here is short, we start to appreciate the people who matter most to us. We stop taking them for granted. We start showing up for them in a way that reflects their importance in our lives. By practicing memento mori, we're not only reminded of our own mortality, but we're also reminded to cherish the moments we have with others. It's easy to get lost in the hustle and bustle of daily life, to be consumed by work obligations or our personal goals. But when we remember that time is limited, we begin to prioritize the things that truly matter. We make time for the people we love. We reach out to friends and family. We let go of petty grievances and focus on building meaningful connections. Every moment with the people we care about becomes more precious when we acknowledge that we won't have forever with them. And when we live with this awareness, we become more present, more connected, and more grateful for the time we have. The practice of memento mori also leads us to a deeper sense of gratitude. The more we reflect on the brevity of life, the more we appreciate the little things, the warmth of the sun on our face, the taste of our favorite meal, the sound of a loved one's voice. These simple joys take on a new meaning when we realize how fleeting they are. Instead of rushing through our days, we start savoring each moment, appreciating the beauty of the present. And it's in this appreciation that we find real happiness, not in the pursuit of more things, but in the enjoyment of what's right in front of us. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When we embrace memento mori, we stop wasting time on things that don't matter. We stop holding grudges, putting off our dreams, or getting caught in the cycle of stress and anxiety. We begin to live intentionally with an understanding that every day is a gift. This doesn't mean we need to become obsessed with death. It simply means we should be mindful of the fact that our time here is limited. And when we live with this awareness, we live more fully. We stop waiting for someday and start acting today. We take risks, we pursue our passions, and we cherish our relationships. The truth is, none of us know how much time we have. We don't know if tomorrow will come or if our loved ones will be there when we need them. That's why it's so important to live with intention and purpose, to appreciate the present moment, and to use the time we have to become the people we want to be. The practice of memento mori reminds us that death is not something to fear. It's something to embrace as a motivator to live our best lives. It's a call to stop procrastinating, Stop waiting for the perfect moment and start making the most of the time we have. When you remember that life is short, you stop sweating the small stuff. You stop getting bogged down by things that don't matter. In the grand scheme of things, instead you focus on what truly matters: your relationships, your health, your passions, and your purpose. You start living with greater gratitude, with more presence, and with more intentionality. And in doing so, you make the most of the time you have, leaving a legacy that's defined by love, meaning, and fulfillment. The practice of memento mori is not about fearing death. It's about using the awareness of life's brevity to live more fully, to love more deeply, and to embrace every moment as a precious gift. 7. Cultivate gratitude. Gratitude isn't just a word we toss around when someone holds the door open or hands us our coffee. It's more than a polite gesture. It's a practice, and not just a practice we do once in a while, but something we can weave into our everyday lives. In fact, practicing gratitude can transform the way we experience the world. But what exactly does it mean to cultivate gratitude? It's not simply about saying thank you when things go well. It's about being aware of all the good things in our lives, both big and small, and taking a moment each day to truly appreciate them. The Stoics understood this better than anyone they knew. That true happiness isn't about acquiring more. It's about appreciating what we already have. If we stop for a moment, it's clear that gratitude is not just a nice sentiment. It's a powerful tool that can shift our mindset and help us find peace in even the most challenging times. When we think about gratitude, we often picture moments of joy or special occasions, holidays, birthdays, big life milestones. But gratitude doesn't need to be saved for these moments. It can be found in the everyday. The Stoics taught us that we should appreciate the present, no matter how ordinary it seems. Every day, we have the chance to experience life. And that in itself is a gift. If we're constantly focused on what's missing or what we don't have, we miss out on the countless things we could be grateful for right now. Gratitude doesn't have to be reserved for big achievements. It can be found in the small, everyday moments that make life worth living. Take a moment right now and think about the little things in your life that bring you comfort or joy. Maybe it's the warmth of your bed when you wake up, or the feeling of a hot cup of coffee in your hands. Maybe it's a conversation with a friend or family member, or the quiet moments when you can just be with yourself. It could be the feeling of sunlight on your skin, or the sound of your favorite music playing in the background. These small moments are easy to overlook, especially in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. But if we stop and really notice them, we realize just how much we have to be grateful for. Gratitude isn't about waiting for the big life-changing moments. It's about recognizing the beauty in the present, even in the simplest things. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." This is where gratitude and self-acceptance intersect. When we learn to appreciate what we have, we stop constantly striving for more, trying to prove our worth by acquiring things or achieving goals. Instead, we learn to accept ourselves and our lives just as they are. This shift in perspective is liberating. By practicing gratitude, we cultivate a sense of contentment that frees us from the pressure to always be doing more or having more. We learn to appreciate the life we've been given, just as it is in Stoic thought. Happiness doesn't come from external circumstances, wealth, or success. It comes from within. The Stoics believe that by cultivating gratitude, we can find peace regardless of what's happening around us. True abundance is found in appreciating what we already have. If we are constantly seeking more things, more recognition, more achievements, we will never feel truly fulfilled. But if we learn to find joy in what we already possess, we unlock a deeper sense of happiness that doesn't depend on external circumstances. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. True happiness is a choice, not a result of what we have, but a result of how we see and appreciate the world around us. Gratitude also has a profound effect on our relationships when we take the time to reflect on the people in our lives. Our friends, family, colleagues, or even strangers who show us kindness. We begin to notice the positive impact they have on our well-being in the rush of daily life. It's easy to forget how much others contribute to our happiness. But when we pause and express gratitude for the people who make our lives better, we strengthen those relationships. We deepen our connection with others and create a positive, nurturing environment for ourselves. The Stoics understood that we are social creatures, and our relationships with others are essential to our well-being. When we talk about cultivating gratitude, it's important to remember that this practice isn't just about the good times. It's also about finding gratitude in the hard times. Life is full of challenges, and it's easy to fall into the trap of focusing on what's wrong, what's difficult, or what's missing. But the Stoics taught us that adversity can be a source of growth when faced with obstacles. We have an opportunity to practice resilience and to be grateful for the strength we develop in the process. Every setback, every hardship is a chance to grow, to become stronger, and to appreciate the lessons that life offers us. This doesn't mean we ignore the pain or difficulties we experience. It simply means we recognize that these experiences can teach us valuable lessons if we choose to see them that way. Gratitude also plays a significant role in our mental and emotional health. Studies in positive psychology show that people who practice gratitude regularly experience lower levels of stress and depression and higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction when we focus on what we are grateful for. We shift our attention away from negativity, worry, and anxiety. This doesn't mean we ignore challenges or pretend everything is perfect. It means we consciously choose to focus on the positive aspects of our lives, no matter how small they may seem. When we focus on what we have rather than what we don't have, we begin to see the abundance around us, and that abundance nurtures our well-being. But cultivating gratitude isn't always easy, especially when life gets tough. It's easy to slip into a mindset of scarcity, where we focus on what's missing or what's going wrong. But here's the truth: gratitude is a practice, not an automatic response. It requires intentionality. It requires us to actively seek out the good in our lives, even when it feels difficult. One of the simplest ways to cultivate gratitude is to start a daily gratitude practice. Each morning or evening, take a moment to reflect on what you're thankful for. It could be something as simple as a good cup of coffee or a kind word from a friend. It could be a big accomplishment or a moment of peace. By making gratitude a daily habit, we train our minds to focus on the positive, and over time this practice can rewire our brains to see the world through a lens of abundance. Freedom, according to Seneca, comes from cultivating virtues like gratitude, which allow us to control our reactions to life's challenges. When we choose to focus on gratitude, we take control of our emotional responses. We refuse to be swept away by negative thinking or by the external events that are beyond our control. Instead, we anchor ourselves in the present moment and in the things that truly matter. This is where true freedom lies, in the ability to choose how we respond to life and in the power to see the world with gratitude. At the end of the day, cultivating gratitude is about more than just feeling thankful. It's about living a life that reflects that thankfulness. It's about choosing to see the good in ourselves, in others, and in the world around us. It's about appreciating what we have right now, rather than constantly longing for what we don't have. And when we practice gratitude, we transform our lives. We become more present, more connected, and more fulfilled. In the words of Epictetus, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others. By cultivating gratitude, we open the door to a life of greater peace, joy, and meaning. 8. Practice compassion and empathy. Have you ever considered the idea that the act of being kind to others can be a source of strength, not just for the people you help, but for yourself as well? In a world where we often feel the pressure to compete, achieve, and move forward at all costs, it's easy to forget the value of simply showing compassion to others. But when you take a step back and really think about it, compassion is more than just a feel-good emotion. It's a cornerstone of what it means to live a meaningful and virtuous life. The Stoics knew this well. They believed that a life of virtue wasn't just about personal growth or inner peace. It was about contributing positively to the world around you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." And in other words, if you're not contributing to the well-being of others, you're not truly fulfilling your purpose. Compassion and empathy might not seem like qualities that immediately align with Stoic philosophy, especially when we think of Stoicism as a school of thought that emphasizes self-discipline, resilience, and inner strength. But if you look a little deeper, you'll see that the Stoics understood the interconnectedness of all people. They knew that our happiness and well-being aren't separate from the happiness and well-being of others. If we want to live a life of meaning and fulfillment, we need to engage with the world in a way that acknowledges the struggles, joys, and humanity of those around us. The Stoics weren't advocating for cold detachment from the world. They were advocating for emotional control so that we could approach others with understanding, kindness, and a sense of shared humanity. Empathy is at the core of this idea. It's the to put yourself in someone else's shoes to understand their feelings, their struggles, and their perspective. And empathy is more than just understanding. It's about using that understanding to act with compassion. When you empathize with someone, you're not just acknowledging their pain or joy, you're feeling it with them and allowing that shared experience to foster a deeper connection. This kind of connection is the foundation of meaningful relationships, but becoming who we truly are isn't just about self-actualization or personal achievement, it's also about how we relate to others. True self-awareness comes when we recognize that we are all connected and that our actions have an impact on the people around us. When we practice compassion, we're not only making life better for others, but we're also improving our own emotional well-being. Have you ever noticed how good it feels to help someone else? When you lend a hand or offer a kind word, it doesn't just make their day better, it has a profound impact on you as well. This isn't just a feel-good notion, it's supported by psychology studies. In positive psychology, show that acts of kindness and compassion can actually boost our own happiness and sense of purpose. When we help others, we activate areas of the brain associated with pleasure and reward. In a sense, when you show compassion, you are not only making the world a better place for others, you are also enriching your own life in the process. But compassion isn't just about grand gestures or big acts of kindness. It's about the small, everyday actions that build stronger connections with others. It's about taking the time to listen without judgment, to really hear what someone is saying, and to show up for them when they need support. Think about the last time someone really listened to you. How did it feel? Maybe you were going through a tough time and someone took the time to just listen without interrupting or offering advice. There's a certain power in simply being present for someone else, in giving them the space to express themselves and feel heard. This kind of empathy, listening without judgment or expectation, builds trust and strengthens relationships. And this isn't just about helping others during the big moments. Compassion also shows up in the small, everyday moments. It's about being kind to the cashier at the store, offering a smile to a stranger, or checking in on a friend who might be having a rough day. These small acts might seem insignificant, but over time they add up. They create a ripple effect of positivity that spreads throughout your life and the lives of others. The Stoics believe that the pursuit of virtue is a lifelong endeavor, and practicing compassion and empathy is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to embody that virtue by making kindness a regular part of our lives. We not only contribute to the well-being of others, but also become better versions of ourselves. Empathy also requires us to move past our own biases and judgments. It's easy to judge others based on our own experiences and perspectives, but when we approach the world with compassion, we open ourselves up to understanding others more deeply. We begin to see that everyone is dealing with their own struggles, fears, and uncertainties. As a result, we become less critical and more accepting, not only of others, but of ourselves as well. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." This is a powerful insight. When we react negatively to someone else's behavior, it's often a reflection of something in ourselves that we haven't fully addressed. Practicing empathy helps us confront these aspects of ourselves, leading to greater self-awareness and personal growth. It's also worth noting that compassion doesn't always mean agreeing with someone's actions or behavior. Sometimes showing compassion means offering support while still holding others accountable. It's about recognizing that people can change and that everyone is on their own journey. By offering empathy without judgment, we create an environment where people feel safe enough to grow, learn, and make better choices. This is especially important in our relationships with family and friends. We don't have to agree with everything someone does, but when we offer empathy, we create a space for honest conversation and mutual understanding. The Stoics also understood the importance of practicing compassion not only toward others, but toward ourselves. It's easy to be compassionate toward others, but much harder to extend that same kindness to ourselves. For compassion is about being gentle with yourself when things don't go as planned, when you make mistakes, or when you feel inadequate. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a close friend. When you practice self-compassion, you stop beating yourself up over things that are beyond your control, and instead focus on what you can do right now to improve the situation. This mindset fosters resilience, helping you bounce back from setbacks and continue moving forward with a sense of peace and self-acceptance. Incorporating compassion into our daily lives requires mindfulness. It requires us to slow down, be present, and really engage with the world around us in our fast-paced society. It's easy to overlook opportunities for compassion. But when we make a conscious effort to practice empathy, whether it's listening to someone who needs support, offering a kind word, or simply being present in the moment, we start to transform our relationships and our own emotional well-being. By practicing empathy and compassion, we not only make the world a better place for others, but we create a better, more fulfilling life for ourselves as well. At the end of the day, compassion is not just a nice quality to have, it's essential to living a life of meaning and virtue. When we show compassion to others, we strengthen the bonds that connect us, build trust, and create a more positive, supportive environment for everyone. As the Stoics understood, our happiness and well-being are deeply intertwined with the happiness and well-being of those around us. By practicing compassion and empathy, we not only make life better for others, but we enrich our own lives in ways we never expected. So the next time you have the opportunity to be kind, to listen without judgment, or to show up for someone who needs support, remember that it's not just about them, it's about you too. It's about becoming the person you want to be and living a life of virtue and connection. 9. Let go of external validation. How often do you find yourself worrying about what others think of you? It's a natural instinct, right? We all want to be liked, accepted, and validated by those around us. Whether it's getting approval from our friends, our family, or even strangers on social media, the desire for external validation is something that most of us experience at some point in our lives. But what if I told you that this constant need for approval is one of the biggest barriers to living a fulfilling life? The truth is, when we rely on the opinions of others to define our self-worth, we lose control over how we see ourselves. We let others dictate how we feel, and we surrender our power. But here's the liberating truth. You don't need anyone's approval to be happy or successful. Your value comes from within, not from external validation. The Stoics knew this all too well. In fact, the entire philosophy is rooted in the idea that we should not base our self-worth on external circumstances. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, we can't control what other people think or say about us, but we can control how we respond to it. When we stop seeking validation from others, we stop letting their opinions determine our happiness. Instead, we start to focus on what truly matters: our actions, our integrity, and our ability to live in alignment with our values. This shift from external validation to internal validation is a game changer. It's what gives us the freedom to be ourselves, without fear of judgment. When we let go of the need for validation, we begin to free ourselves from the constant pressure to perform or conform. Think about how much energy you spend trying to meet other people's expectations, whether it's the pressure to look a certain way, succeed in a specific career, or live up to the ideals set by society. This constant striving for approval can be exhausting, and often it leaves us feeling empty. It's like we're running on a treadmill, always moving but never really getting anywhere. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from within, and that external validation is just an illusion. They taught us that we should live according to our own principles, not the standards set by others. By focusing on our actions and living authentically, we stop relying on outside sources of validation and start relying on ourselves. When we seek validation from others, we're often trying to mold ourselves into something we're not. We change who we are, how we act, and what we value in order to fit in or gain approval. But this constant need for external validation prevents us from accepting ourselves fully. It makes us question our worth and leaves us feeling insecure and uncertain. The path to true happiness and fulfillment comes from accepting who we are, flaws and all, and embracing our unique qualities without worrying about how others perceive us. When we stop seeking validation from the outside, we can focus on cultivating self-love and self-acceptance. This doesn't mean we become completely indifferent to the opinions of others. We're human, and it's natural to care about how our actions affect those around us. But when we prioritize external validation over internal fulfillment, we lose touch with our true selves. We become so focused on pleasing others that we forget to honor our own desires, dreams, and values. Stoicism encourages us to develop an inner strength that allows us to make decisions based on what aligns with our values, rather than what will earn us the approval of others. When we stop constantly seeking validation, we start living more intentionally. With a greater sense of purpose and freedom, think about how much energy you expend on social media, where likes, comments, and followers seem to determine your worth. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of measuring your value by the number of people who approve of you online. But when you rely on this kind of validation, you're giving away your power. Your sense of self-worth becomes dependent on someone else's opinion of you. And that's a slippery slope. The Stoics remind us that our value doesn't come from external approval, but from our ability to live in accordance with our principles and actions in today's world. That means realizing that your worth isn't determined by the number of likes on a post or the opinions of strangers. It's determined by your integrity, your ability to live authentically, and your commitment to your values. When you stop seeking external validation, you begin to understand that your self-worth comes from your own actions and the way you live your life. You become more aligned with your true self. You're not concerned with how others perceive you because you're secure in who you are. This shift is incredibly powerful. It allows you to act with confidence, make decisions based on what's best for you, and stop wasting time trying to meet other people's expectations. As a result, your life becomes richer, more meaningful, and more fulfilling. You begin to experience true freedom because you're no longer dependent on external factors to determine how you feel about yourself. The irony is, the more we let go of the need for validation, the more genuine and authentic connections we create with others. When we're constantly seeking approval, we tend to wear masks. We present an image of ourselves that we think others will like, rather than showing up as our true selves. But when we stop caring about validation, we can finally drop the act. We can show up as who we really are. And that's when we attract the kind of people who appreciate us for who we truly are. The connections we build from this place of authenticity are deeper, more meaningful, and more lasting because they are based on mutual respect. And acceptance. Letting go of external validation also allows us to experience life with less stress. Think about the last time you worried about what someone else thought of you. Maybe it was before a big presentation at work, or when meeting someone new. That anxiety is draining, isn't it? When we're constantly worrying about how others perceive us, it pulls us out of the present moment and keeps us focused on things that are beyond our control. By releasing the need for external validation, we can finally relax and be present. We can focus on what we're doing, not on how we're being perceived. This sense of ease is incredibly freeing. It allows us to enjoy life without constantly second-guessing ourselves. The power of letting go of external validation also lies in the ability to make choices that align with our values. When we seek approval from others, we tend to make decisions that are driven by the desire for acceptance. We might take a job we don't really want, stay in a relationship that isn't fulfilling, or pretend to like something just because it's popular. But when we stop relying on external validation, we can finally make decisions that reflect who we are and what we truly want. Our actions become aligned with our deeper values, and we begin to live with greater purpose. So what does it really mean to stop caring about what others think? It means finding peace within yourself, releasing the need for approval, and living in alignment with your own values. It means taking responsibility for your own happiness and not relying on anyone else to define your worth. The Stoics understood that true freedom comes from within. When we let go of external validation, we take back the power to live authentically, with integrity and purpose. And in doing so, we create a life that is more meaningful, more connected, and ultimately more fulfilling. 10. Accept change. Life is full of surprises, isn't it? One moment everything feels steady and predictable, and the next something changes unexpectedly, sometimes painfully, but always in a way that shakes things up. Change can be uncomfortable, unsettling, and downright scary. It's human nature to resist it. We want things to stay the same because the familiar feels safe. But here's a truth that the Stoics understood well. Change is inevitable. It's a constant force that shapes our lives, whether we're ready for it or not. And while it's natural to feel some resistance, the Stoics believe that the key to peace and growth lies in how we respond to change, rather than fighting it. They taught us to embrace it as part of the natural flow of life. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, accept whatever comes to you. Woven in the pattern of your destiny, this isn't about passively letting life happen to you. It's about understanding that change is a fundamental part of the journey and learning how to move with it, not against it. Change at its core is an opportunity that may sound strange at first, especially when we're facing something difficult or unwanted. But every change, whether big or small, carries the potential for growth. Think about it. How many times have you been thrown out of your comfort zone only to look back and realize that the change was exactly what you needed to grow? Maybe it was a new job that challenged you in ways you didn't expect, or a relationship that pushed you to be a better version of yourself. The Stoics recognized this. And rather than resisting change, they saw it as an integral part of their personal evolution. They understood that each change, even the difficult ones, can be a stepping stone on the path toward a stronger, wiser, and more resilient self. Change in many ways is what helps us become who we truly are. Without change, we remain stagnant, stuck in the same patterns and routines. But when change comes into our lives, it forces us to adapt, to evolve, and to redefine ourselves. Embracing change means stepping into the unknown with confidence, knowing that it's an opportunity for self-discovery. Instead of fearing the unknown, we learn to see it as a chance to explore new possibilities, to reinvent ourselves, and to grow beyond the person we were before. The Stoics were no strangers to upheaval. In fact, they embraced it as a natural part of life. They understood that everything in life is temporary. Our successes, our failures, our joy, and our pain. The key is to accept that these fluctuations are part of the human experience. Change is inevitable, but how we respond to it is where our power lies. When we resist change, we end up fighting against the very thing that is essential for our growth. But when we embrace it, we give ourselves the freedom to move forward with clarity and purpose. In today's world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by change. The pace of life seems to be accelerating with new technologies, shifting social norms, and constant disruptions. It can feel like there's no stability, no certainty. But here's the thing, the Stoics didn't see change as something to be feared or avoided. They saw it as an opportunity to practice resilience and to focus on what they could control, their own responses and actions. When we let go of the need for everything to stay the same, we free ourselves to embrace the opportunities that change brings. Now, embracing change doesn't mean we have to like it or that we won't feel discomfort. It's natural to feel a sense of loss when something familiar is taken away. It's okay to grieve the end of a chapter, whether it's the loss of a job, the end of a relationship, or a major life transition. But here's the thing, the Stoics didn't shy away from discomfort. They leaned into it. They believed that adversity, hardship, and change are all part of what makes us stronger. Instead of resisting the discomfort, they embraced it as a chance to practice virtue and build character. When we resist change, we end up creating more stress and frustration for ourselves. We fight against the current of life, trying to swim upstream, and that only drains our energy. But when we learn to go with the flow, when we accept that change is a part of life, we start to feel more at ease. Life becomes less about struggling against what we can't control and more about navigating the changes that come our way. In this sense, accepting change is a form of self-care. It's about letting go of the constant need for certainty and embracing the unknown with confidence and trust. In our ability to handle whatever comes our way, it's also important to recognize that change can bring about new opportunities. Often we resist change because we're afraid of what might happen next. The unknown can feel like a threat, especially when we're comfortable in our current situation. But think about the times in your life when you've stepped out of your comfort zone. Maybe you took on a new challenge, moved to a new place, or started a new project. While it may have been scary at first, those moments of change often lead to personal growth, new experiences, and even unexpected rewards. The Stoics understood this. They believed that when we accept change, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and allow ourselves to grow in ways we never thought possible. Jung also spoke about the idea of embracing the unknown in his work, saying, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." In other words, true growth doesn't come from avoiding discomfort or change. It comes from facing it head-on, acknowledging it, and using it as a tool for self-improvement. When we accept change, we face the uncertainty of life with courage and clarity, and we allow ourselves to evolve into the person we're meant to become. Change forces us to confront the unknown, to challenge ourselves, and to grow beyond our current limitations. The Stoics believe that this process, though difficult, is essential for our personal development. So how can we begin to embrace change in our own lives? It starts with shifting our perspective. Instead of seeing change as a threat, we can start viewing it as an opportunity for growth. When something changes, whether it's a new job, a new relationship, or a new chapter in our lives, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can I use this change to grow and become better? This shift in mindset allows us to approach change with curiosity instead of fear. It helps us see the value in the challenges and opportunities that change brings. The truth is change is going to happen whether we like it or not. It's part of life. But when we learn to accept it, we gain the freedom to live more fully. We stop resisting the flow of life and start moving with it. We open ourselves up to new experiences, new opportunities, and new ways of thinking. And in doing so, we become stronger, more resilient, and more capable of handling whatever life throws our way. Life is constantly evolving. And when we accept that, we free ourselves from the anxiety and frustration that comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. Change isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. So the next time life throws a curveball your way, remember, you don't have to fight it, you just need to accept it and see how it can help you grow. 11. Simplify your life. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with messages that tell us we need more things, more experiences, more achievements. The culture of excess is everywhere, from the endless advertisements to the social media posts that highlight the highlight reels of everyone's lives. We're told that happiness is found in the latest gadget, the newest car, or the next big career milestone. It's easy to get caught up in the chase, believing that if we just had a little more, we'd finally feel complete. But deep down, we know something isn't quite right. Despite all the things we accumulate, there's a nagging sense of emptiness. The more we try to fill our lives with stuff, the more we realize that it's not the possessions, the status, or the achievements that bring us true happiness. It's something simpler, something deeper. The Stoics understood this better than anyone they recognize, that our desires for material things, fame, and recognition often lead to stress, distraction, and dissatisfaction. Instead of encouraging us to seek more, they advocated for less clutter, less noise, less distraction. Simplicity, they believed, was the path to freedom. When we strip away the unnecessary, we make room for what truly matters: our relationships, our well-being, and our sense of purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In other words, peace and contentment don't come from what we own or achieve. They come from how we choose to think and live. Simplicity isn't about deprivation. It's not about living like a monk or denying yourself everything you enjoy. It's about making conscious choices that align with your values rather than being swept away by external pressures or societal expectations. When we simplify, we take control over our lives. We begin to choose what truly serves us and discard what doesn't. This could mean anything from decluttering your home to saying no to commitments that drain your energy. It's about reclaiming your time, your peace, and your focus. It's about stopping the constant race for more and deciding to live with intention. But how can we become who we truly are if we're constantly chasing after things that don't really matter? When we simplify our lives, we create the space to reflect on who we truly are and what we want. It's only by shedding the distractions and excesses that we can start to live authentically. The more we focus on what's essential, the clearer our path becomes. We stop trying to live up to others' expectations and start living in a way that reflects our true values and desires. In this way, simplicity becomes not just a lifestyle choice, but a form of self-actualization. Think about it. How much of your time, energy, and attention is spent on things that don't add real value to your life? Perhaps it's the pile of unnecessary possessions collecting dust, or the social media notifications that pull you out of the present moment. Maybe it's the pressure to keep up with people's expectations, whether it's the latest fashion trends, career accomplishments, or social status. We fill our lives with these distractions thinking they'll bring us fulfillment, but in reality, they often do the opposite. They take us away from the things that matter most, like our personal growth, our relationships, and our inner peace. The Stoics weren't anti-material. They understood that material things can serve a purpose in our lives, but they didn't define us. True wealth lies not in the number of things we own, but in our ability to appreciate and make the most of what we already have. The more we simplify our lives, the less we rely on external things to give us a sense of worth or satisfaction. We learn to find joy in the present moment and in the simple things like spending time with loved ones, enjoying a good book, or taking a walk in nature. Simplifying your life also means learning to say no. In our modern world, we often find ourselves overcommitted, stretched thin, and stressed out. We say yes to things that don't align with our values or our well-being because we feel obligated or because we don't want to disappoint others. But the Stoics taught us that our time is one of our most precious resources, and we should use it wisely. We can also simplify our relationships. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of social media, trying to keep up with everyone's lives and maintain superficial connections. But the Stoics believe that true friendship is based on virtue and shared values, not on popularity or surface-level interactions. Associate with people who are likely to improve you, said Epictetus. By simplifying our relationships, we can focus on the people who truly add value to our lives, those who inspire us, challenge us, and support us in becoming our best selves. We don't need 100 friends. We need a few meaningful connections that nurture our growth and well-being. When we remove the distractions of shallow relationships, we create the space for deeper, more fulfilling connections. When we talk about simplifying our lives, it also means simplifying our thoughts. How many times do we find ourselves caught in negative thought patterns, worrying about things that are out of our control? The Stoics understood that our thoughts shape our reality. By simplifying our mental landscape, we can quiet the noise and focus on what's truly important. Marcus Aurelius encouraged us to focus on the present moment and not be overwhelmed by past regrets or future anxieties. By training our minds to focus on what we can control and letting go of the things that don't serve us, we simplify our inner world. This mental clarity is a key part of living a peaceful and fulfilled life. Jung also touched on the importance of simplicity. When he said, "The more a man knows, the more he realizes he doesn't know," this humility and willingness to let go of unnecessary complexities allows us to live with greater clarity. It's about embracing the idea that we don't need to know everything. We don't need to have everything figured out, and we don't need to constantly prove ourselves. Simplicity in this sense is not about ignorance or avoidance. It's about acceptance. It's about accepting that we don't need to complicate our lives with things, thoughts, or relationships that drain us. Instead, we can embrace simplicity as a path to deeper understanding, self-awareness, and peace. When you simplify your life, you open up more room for what truly brings you joy. You create space for your passions, your dreams, and your purpose. You stop chasing after things that don't matter and start living a life that's aligned with who you really are. Whether it's decluttering your home, saying no to unnecessary commitments, or focusing on the relationships that nourish you, simplifying your life leads to greater freedom. The Stoics were masters of this concept, teaching us that true happiness doesn't come from accumulating more. It comes from learning to live with less. When you simplify, you make room for the things that truly matter. And in doing so, you create a life that's rich in meaning, purpose, and peace. 12. Practice mindfulness. Have you ever felt like your mind is a whirlwind racing from one thought to the next without any control? It can be exhausting, right? We're constantly being pulled in different directions, and it often feels like we're reacting to the world around us instead of choosing how we respond. This kind of mental chaos is something we've all experienced. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be that way. What if you could learn to slow down, take a step back, and become more aware of what's happening in your mind without getting swept away by it? That's where mindfulness comes in. And believe it or not, this practice of being present and fully engaged in the moment isn't just a modern trend. It's something the Stoics knew well and practiced themselves. Mindfulness at its core is about being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions in the present moment. Without judgment, it's the simple act of observing what's going on inside you. Your emotions, your thoughts, your body, and accepting it for what it is without trying to change or fix anything right away. The Stoics understood this idea deeply. They didn't call it mindfulness, but their teachings are rooted in this very practice for them. Being mindful wasn't just about quieting the mind or seeking inner peace for the sake of relaxation. It was about gaining control over our reactions to the world around us. The Stoics knew that we can't always control the events that happen in our lives, but we can control how we respond to them. And mindfulness is one of the most effective tools we have for doing just that. When we take a moment to observe our thoughts and feelings, we create space between the stimulus and our reaction. Instead of automatically reacting to stress, frustration, or anger, we become aware of these emotions as they arise. This gives us the power to choose how we respond, rather than being carried away by automatic, often unhealthy reactions. This is the foundation of Stoic practice, learning to master our internal state, regardless of what's happening on the outside. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed. Maybe you had a busy day at work, a personal conflict, or a situation where everything felt like it was spiraling out of control. How did you react in that moment? Maybe you snapped, felt anxious, or withdrew. These are natural responses, but when we're caught up in them, we lose our ability to respond thoughtfully. Instead, we react impulsively. Mindfulness offers a different path. Instead of immediately reacting, mindfulness asks us to pause, breathe, and simply observe, what are you feeling? What thoughts are running through your head? Just the act of noticing can help us gain some distance from the intensity of the moment. This simple practice can give us the clarity to make better decisions and respond in a way that aligns with our values rather than our impulses. Carl Jung had a profound insight on this when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Jung's words remind us that many of our reactions and behaviors are unconscious, driven by past experiences, fears, and unresolved emotions. The beauty of mindfulness is that it allows us to bring these unconscious patterns into the light of our awareness. When we take a moment to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment, we can begin to recognize these unconscious influences, and when we see them for what they are, we can begin to change how we respond to them. The Stoics didn't shy away from difficult emotions. They didn't teach us to suppress anger, fear, or sadness. Instead, they taught us to observe and understand these emotions so we could decide how to act in response. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to us that matters, but how we react to it. He said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." This is a powerful statement. The events in our lives are neutral. They don't have intrinsic meaning. The meaning we assign to them comes from our thoughts and interpretations. By practicing mindfulness, we become aware of these interpretations, and we gain the ability to shift our perspective rather than being controlled by it. A simple practice you can start with is to take a few deep breaths when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. Close your eyes for a moment and just focus on your breathing. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the sensation of air entering and leaving your body as you breathe. Allow yourself to observe the thoughts that come and go. Don't try to change them or judge them. Just let them be. This practice grounds you in the present moment and allows you to gain perspective. It's a small but powerful tool that can help you regain control when life feels chaotic. This simple act of mindfulness can change the way you approach life. It helps you respond rather than react. One of the core tenets of Stoicism is the idea of controlling what is within our power and accepting what is not. Mindfulness is a direct way to practice this principle. When we're mindful, we learn to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, emotions, and actions, while accepting that we can't control everything else. Life will continue to throw challenges our way, but when we approach these challenges with mindfulness, we respond with clarity and calm instead of being swept away by fear, anger, or frustration. This practice helps us build resilience and inner strength, allowing us to face life's difficulties with more grace and composure. Mindfulness also helps us develop a deeper sense of gratitude when we're caught up in the rush of daily life. It's easy to overlook the simple pleasures and moments of beauty that surround us, but when we slow down and become present, we begin to notice these things more clearly. We see the small victories, the moments of connection, and the little joys that often go unnoticed. This kind of awareness cultivates a sense of gratitude for the present moment rather than constantly striving for more or looking for happiness in the future. The Stoics taught us that happiness doesn't come from external circumstances. It comes from our ability to appreciate and make the most of what we already have. So what can mindfulness really do for you? It can help you manage stress, make better decisions, and live with more purpose and clarity. It can help you become more aware of your thoughts and emotions, giving you the power to choose how you respond to life's challenges. It can improve your relationships by allowing you to be more present and attentive to the people around you. Most importantly, mindfulness can help you cultivate inner peace and resilience, which are the true foundations of happiness. The beauty of mindfulness is that it's a simple practice that anyone can start. No matter where they are in life, you don't need special equipment or years of training. All you need is the willingness to pause, to observe, and to be present. The more you practice mindfulness, the more natural it becomes. It becomes a part of how you approach the world, a tool you can use anytime you feel overwhelmed or disconnected. It helps you navigate the ups and downs of life with more composure and clarity. By integrating mindfulness into your daily routine, you're not just managing stress or anxiety, you're creating a deeper connection with yourself and the world around you. This connection is what the Stoics called living in accordance with nature. It's about living in harmony with yourself, your values, and the world around you. And when you do that, life becomes more peaceful, more fulfilling, and more meaningful. So take a moment right now to be present. Breathe deeply, observe your thoughts, and simply be. It's a small step, but it's the first step toward a life of mindfulness and inner peace. 13. Pursue virtue above all else. At the heart of every great philosophy lies a core principle, something that serves as the foundation for everything else for the Stoics. This core principle was virtue. Virtue wasn't just a nice idea or a lofty goal, it was the highest good. It was the guiding light, the thing that made everything else in life meaningful. In a world where success, wealth, and external achievements are often placed on a pedestal, the Stoics taught us that true happiness and fulfillment come not from the things we acquire, but from how we live. They believed that living virtuously, acting with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance was the key to everything else falling into place. It's a mindset that challenges us to ask ourselves, not what do I have or what can I get, but am I living with integrity? Am I being fair to others? Am I showing courage when faced with challenges? In the end, virtue is the compass that points us toward a life that is not only meaningful but truly fulfilling. Virtue for the Stoics wasn't a vague concept. They broke it down into 4 key pillars: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom to the Stoics was about understanding what is within our control and what isn't, and acting accordingly. It's the knowledge that helps us navigate life with clarity and purpose. Courage, meanwhile, is about facing adversity with strength, not just in the big dramatic moments, but in the small everyday challenges as well. Justice is about treating others fairly, respecting their rights, and working towards the common good. Finally, temperance is about self-control, knowing when to say no, when to step back, and how to maintain balance in all things. These virtues, when practiced consistently, create a solid foundation for living a life of integrity and purpose. The journey to becoming our true selves is not about external accomplishments or material success. It's about developing our character, living in accordance with our values, and striving to be the best version of ourselves. When we make virtue our North Star, we're not just chasing fleeting achievements or trying to impress others. Instead, we're focused on becoming the kind of person who lives with integrity, fairness, and self-discipline. Regardless of what's happening around us, in doing so, we align our actions with our values, and we begin to experience a sense of peace and fulfillment that can't be found in external achievements. It's easy to get caught up in the distractions of life, the constant pressure to achieve, to succeed, to be better than everyone else. We live in a society that often measures success by how much we have or what we can acquire. But the Stoics remind us that these things are external, temporary, and ultimately, they don't provide lasting happiness. True contentment, they believe, comes from within. When we focus on virtue, we shift our attention away from external rewards and begin to focus on what's truly important: our character, our integrity, and our relationships with others. This shift can be incredibly liberating. It frees us from the need for external validation and allows us to live according to our own standards. And paradoxically, when we focus on becoming the best version of ourselves, everything else, success, happiness, fulfillment, begins to fall into place. Living virtuously also means facing life's challenges with resilience and grace. We all face adversity at some point in our lives, whether it's a personal loss, a setback at work, or a difficult relationship. It's during these times that our true character is tested. The Stoics believe that it's not the challenges we face that define us, but how we respond to them. Are we able to stay calm in the face of adversity? Do we act with integrity even when it's difficult? Are we courageous enough to face our fears and push forward even when the odds seem stacked against us? These are the moments when our virtue is put to the test. And while it's not always easy, the Stoics teach us that it's during these moments that we have the greatest opportunity for growth. One of the core ideas of Stoicism is that we can't control external events, but we can control how we respond to them. This idea is grounded in wisdom, the understanding that we can't control everything, but we can choose how we react. This doesn't mean we should passively accept everything that happens to us. Instead, it means that we should approach each situation with a calm and clear mind, considering what we can do to respond with virtue. As Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. By focusing on our reactions, we take control of our lives regardless of what happens around us. Justice is another key virtue in Stoic philosophy, and it's one that's particularly relevant. In today's world, in a society that often seems divided, unjust, and unequal, it can be easy to feel powerless or cynical. But the Stoics remind us that we all have a role to play in creating a more just world. Justice for the Stoics wasn't just about following the law, it was about treating others with respect, fairness, and compassion. It's about acting in a way that benefits the collective good rather than just our own personal gain. When we act with justice, we contribute to a society where everyone's rights are respected and where people are treated with dignity and kindness. This doesn't mean we have to be perfect or always get it right, but it does mean that we should strive to act with fairness and integrity in every interaction. We have courage, the Stoics believed, is not just about facing physical danger, but about showing up for life in an authentic and courageous way. It's about making the tough decisions, standing up for what's right and speaking out when it's necessary. Courage doesn't mean we won't feel fear. It means that we act despite that fear. It's about choosing to do the right thing even when it's hard. As Seneca wrote, courage is not the absence of fear, but the judgment that something else is more important than fear. True courage comes when we acknowledge our fears and doubts, but choose to act with integrity and purpose anyway. It's this kind of courage that allows us to live a life that is aligned with our deepest values. Finally, temperance is a key part of Stoic virtue in a world that often encourages excess and indulgence. Temperance teaches us the power of self-control. It's about knowing when to say no, when to pull back, and when to find balance. Temperance isn't about depriving ourselves. It's about understanding our desires and making choices that align with our long-term well-being. It's about not letting our impulses or immediate desires control us, but instead acting in a way that serves our greater goals and values. As the Stoic philosopher Zeno said, well-being is attained little by little, and nevertheless is no little thing itself. Temperance is about practicing moderation in all things and recognizing that true happiness doesn't come from indulging every desire, but from finding balance and peace within ourselves. When you make virtue your guiding principle, you start to see the world differently. You stop measuring your worth by external achievements and start measuring it by the quality of your character. You become less concerned with what others think and more focused on being the best version of yourself. You begin to live with integrity, fairness, and courage. And as a result, your life becomes more meaningful. The Stoics understood that when we pursue virtue above all else, everything else falls into place. Happiness, success, and fulfillment are not the result of external circumstances. They are the natural byproducts of living a virtuous life. So ask yourself, am I living with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance? Am I acting with integrity and striving to be the best version of myself? If the answer is yes, then everything else will follow. 14. Be self-aware. Imagine going through life without really knowing who you are. It might sound like a strange thought, but it's not uncommon. We live in a fast-paced world, constantly moving from one task to the next, often without pausing to really reflect on our own thoughts, feelings, or actions. Yet, how can we expect to grow, improve, or even find true fulfillment if we don't take the time to understand ourselves? Self-awareness is one of the most powerful tools we can have in our personal development toolbox, and it's something the Stoics understood well. In fact, self-awareness was the foundation of their entire philosophy. Without it, they knew we'd be blindly navigating life without ever really reaching our potential. But when we take the time to reflect, to question, and to truly understand our own minds, we unlock the ability to grow, to improve, and to live more intentionally. The Stoics practiced self-awareness in a very deliberate way. They didn't wait for some random moment of clarity to strike. They actively reflected on their actions and thoughts every single day. Marcus Aurelius kept a personal journal where he would reflect on his day, evaluate his actions on, and ask himself questions like, what did I do well today and what could I improve? It wasn't about beating himself up over mistakes, but rather about learning from them. By reflecting regularly, he could see where he was thriving and where he still needed to grow. This daily practice of self-awareness helped him live with greater wisdom, compassion, and integrity. The Stoics weren't perfect people, and they didn't expect perfection from themselves. What they sought was progress, the kind of progress that comes from understanding oneself deeply and using that understanding to become better. Each day, you might be thinking, I don't have time for journaling every day, and that's okay. The point isn't about creating another task to check off your to-do list. The real practice of self-awareness can be as simple as taking a moment at the end of your day to reflect. It's about creating a habit of checking in with yourself regularly, asking questions like, what did I do today that made me proud? Or where could I have handled things better? This doesn't have to be a lengthy process. It can be as short as 5 minutes. The important thing is to create a routine of reflecting on your actions and thoughts so that you can recognize patterns, acknowledge your strengths, and identify areas where you can improve. Self-awareness isn't about judging ourselves or trying to be perfect. It's about seeing ourselves clearly without distortion and embracing both our strengths and weaknesses. By acknowledging our flaws and accepting them as part of who we are, we can begin to change the things we don't like, while also appreciating the unique qualities that make us who we are. Self-awareness gives us the ability to navigate life's challenges with greater clarity. When we know ourselves, our motivations, our triggers, our desires, we can approach situations more mindfully, making decisions that are in alignment with our true values, rather than reacting impulsively or being driven by external pressures without self-awareness. It's easy to fall into autopilot mode. We wake up, go through the motions, and then go to bed, repeating the same cycle over and over, without ever really thinking about how we're living. The Stoics recognize that this kind of unconscious living is a barrier to true fulfillment. To live intentionally, we must first understand where we're starting from. The Stoic practice of reflection allows us to take stock of our thoughts, actions, and emotions, giving us the clarity we need to make better decisions moving forward. When we aren't self-aware, we allow ourselves to be controlled by outside circumstances or unconscious habits. But when we pause to reflect, we gain control over our reactions and actions. We stop being reactive and start being proactive in shaping our lives. Self-awareness is also crucial for our personal relationships. How many times have you found yourself in a disagreement or conflict only to realize later that you weren't fully aware of your emotions in the moment? Perhaps you overreacted, or maybe you didn't express yourself in the most constructive way. Self-awareness allows us to understand our emotions as they arise, so we can respond in a more thoughtful way. An effective manner. By reflecting on our actions and the way we interact with others, we can improve our communication, build stronger relationships, and resolve conflicts with greater ease. The Stoics knew that being in touch with our emotions without being overwhelmed by them is a key part of leading a virtuous life. They didn't teach emotional suppression. They taught emotional understanding, and that understanding comes from being aware of how we feel, why we feel it, and how to channel that emotion constructively. Take, for example, a difficult situation at work or in a friendship. How often do we react impulsively? Maybe we get defensive, frustrated, or angry without taking a step back to understand why we're feeling that way. When we're unaware of our emotional triggers, we let those emotions control us, and our reactions may not align with the person we truly want to be. But when we practice self-awareness, we can recognize those triggers before they take over, and we can choose to respond in a way that reflects our deeper values. The Stoics believed that wisdom comes from understanding ourselves fully, including our emotional responses, so that we can act with purpose rather than impulse. Self-awareness also plays a vital role in our overall well-being when we're disconnected from ourselves. It's easy to feel lost or overwhelmed. We may start to question our purpose, our direction, or our sense of fulfillment, but by regularly checking in with ourselves, we can keep ourselves grounded and focused on what truly matters. This practice helps us identify when we're veering off course so we can realign ourselves with our values and goals. Just as a captain uses a compass to navigate a ship, self-awareness serves as our internal compass, guiding us through life storms and uncertainties. The more attuned we are to our own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, the more confident we become in our ability to navigate whatever comes our way. If you're new to the practice of self-reflection, it might feel awkward at first. We're often not used to slowing down and checking in with ourselves. But like any skill, self-awareness improves with practice. You might start with something as simple as writing down one thing you did well each day and one thing you'd like to improve over time. This small practice can lead to deeper insights into your behavior, thoughts, and emotions. The Stoics knew that growth doesn't happen overnight. It's a continuous, lifelong process. They didn't expect perfection from themselves, but they did expect progress by practicing self-awareness. You put yourself on the path of continuous improvement, which is at the core of living a virtuous life. Another valuable aspect of self-awareness is its ability to help us set boundaries when we're aware of our own limits, desires, and needs. We're better able to communicate them to others. Setting boundaries is crucial for maintaining our mental and emotional health without self-awareness. We often say yes when we should say no, overextend ourselves, or allow others to dictate how we spend our time and energy. The Stoics understood that we cannot live a life of virtue if we allow others' expectations to dictate our actions. Self-awareness helps us recognize when we're being pulled in too many directions so we can step back, reevaluate, and make choices that are aligned with our own well-being. Jung, in his exploration of the human psyche, also emphasized the importance of self-awareness in our journey toward individuation. Becoming the person we're truly meant to be, he said, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. This idea speaks to the profound realization that self-awareness is the key to unlocking our fullest potential. It's not in seeking approval or direction from the outside world that we find fulfillment, but in understanding ourselves deeply and pursuing our own path with clarity and conviction. By looking inward, we begin the process of awakening to our true nature. And that's where real growth begins. So if you're ready to start living more intentionally, more aligned with your true self, begin with self-awareness. Take time each day to reflect, to ask yourself what you've learned and where you can grow. Don't rush the process or expect instant results. Like the Stoics, embrace self-awareness as a lifelong practice, something that will guide you through life's ups and downs. The more you understand yourself, the more you'll be able to live a life that's aligned with your values, your purpose, and your vision for who you want to become. 15. Be present in every action, in the hustle and bustle of daily life. It's so easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of thoughts, distractions, and endless to-do lists. How often do you find yourself doing one thing while your mind is racing through a dozen other thoughts? Maybe you're washing dishes, but you're already thinking about the next meeting or what you're going to eat for dinner. Or perhaps you're spending time with a friend, but instead of being fully engaged, you're distracted by your phone or your own wandering thoughts. It's almost as if we're physically present, but mentally somewhere else entirely. This kind of mental disconnect is common, but it can lead to feelings of stress, frustration, and even a lack of fulfillment. But what if I told you that the key to finding peace and living a more meaningful life lies in something as simple as being fully present in every action you take? The Stoics, ancient philosophers who practiced a life of virtue, wisdom, and inner tranquility, understood the importance of being present for them. Being fully engaged in the task at hand wasn't just a nice idea, it was essential to living a good life. Whether it was washing their hands, making a decision in public life, or having a conversation with a friend, they believed every action should be done deliberately and mindfully. So what does it mean to be present? Being present doesn't just mean physically showing up. It means giving your full attention and energy to what you're doing right now. It's about immersing yourself in the task, the conversation, or the experience, and letting go of distractions. This is where true peace is found. When we're truly present, we're no longer dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. We let go of regrets, anxieties, and all the mental clutter that so often pulls us out of the present moment. Instead, we focus entirely on the now. And when we do that, we begin to notice the richness of each moment, whether it's the simple act of cleaning up or the deep connection we feel when we're with a loved one. In many ways, being present is the path to becoming our true selves. When we're fully engaged in the moment, we stop pretending, stop performing, and stop trying to be someone else. We become authentic, grounded, and centered. But to do this, we have to practice. It's not something that comes easily, especially in a world full of distractions. It requires conscious effort and a willingness to slow down when we're present. We bring our true selves into whatever we're doing, whether it's in our work, our relationships, or our daily routines. One of the main reasons we struggle with being present is that we're constantly pulled in different directions. We're living in a time where notifications, emails, and social media bombards us every minute of the day. We are also taught to multitask, to juggle multiple projects and responsibilities at once. But Stoicism teaches us that true focus and fulfillment come from doing one thing at a time and doing it well. Epictetus said, first, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. His words remind us that if we want to live with intention and purpose, we need to give our full attention to what's in front of us. When we divide our attention between 100 different things, we're never truly present in any of them. But when we commit ourselves fully to one thing, we can give it our best, and the results will reflect that. This idea is particularly important. When it comes to our relationships, have you ever been in a conversation with someone, but your mind was elsewhere? Maybe you were thinking about what to say next, or you were distracted by your phone. How did that affect the quality of the conversation? Being fully present with someone is one of the most powerful ways we can show care, respect, and appreciation. It's in those moments of undivided attention that we truly connect with others. When we're distracted and not truly present, we often add unnecessary layers of anxiety and frustration to a situation. But when we focus on the here and now, we eliminate the clutter in our minds and experience greater clarity. Being present is also about noticing the small things, the details that we often overlook in our rush to get things done. Imagine you're walking down the street thinking about your to-do list or what's coming up later in the day. You might not even notice the beauty around you, the flowers in bloom, the sounds of birds chirping, or the cool breeze on your face. But if you take a moment to pause, to really take in your surroundings, you'll find that life is rich with small, fleeting moments of beauty. The Stoics believe that peace comes from appreciating the present moment, not waiting for the next big event or the next milestone to bring happiness. It's in the everyday, mundane tasks that we find true fulfillment. If only we take the time to notice, practicing presence is not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about creating the habit of showing up fully for whatever you're doing, whether it's a big project at work, spending time with your family, or simply washing dishes. And the beauty of this practice is that the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You begin to notice that each moment is a gift, and you start to live with a greater sense of appreciation and mindfulness. One of the key aspects of being present is acceptance. Acceptance of where you are right now without judgment or resistance. The Stoics taught us that while we can't always control external circumstances, we can always control how we respond to them. When we fully embrace the present moment, we accept that life is full of ups and downs, successes and failures. Instead of wishing things were different, we embrace what is, knowing that every moment holds the potential for growth. Being present also means taking responsibility for our actions. When we're present in what we're doing, we take full ownership of our decisions and behaviors. We're not distracted or lost in excuses. We are clear, intentional, and conscious in every choice we make. This level of mindfulness is empowering because it puts us in the driver's seat of our own lives. We stop letting the world dictate how we feel and act. Instead, we consciously choose how we respond, which gives us greater control over our lives and our happiness. The challenge, of course, is to build the habit of presence, especially in a world full of distractions. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of daily life, but with intentional practice, you can begin to train yourself to be more present, whether it's through meditation, mindfulness practices, or simply making a conscious effort to slow down and focus on one task at a time. You'll start to see the difference in your life. You'll experience more peace, more clarity, and a deeper connection to yourself and others. So what can you do right now to start being more present? The first step is simple: pay attention. Pay attention to the small moments in your day, the people you talk to, the tasks you do, the thoughts you have. Notice them without judgment, without rushing to get to the next thing. When you're present, you're giving your full self to whatever you're doing. And in doing so, you'll find that life becomes richer, more meaningful, and more connected. Remember, as the Stoics taught us, true peace and fulfillment come not from achieving more, but from being fully engaged in the present moment. As we wrap up, remember, this life is happening right now in this very moment. The more we show up fully, whether it's in our work relationships or personal growth, the more we unlock the true power of living with purpose. So take this wisdom with you and start living it today. If you want to dive deeper into Stoic principles and how they can transform your life, check out one of the suggested videos on the screen. And thank you for being a part of Stoic Antifragile. Your journey towards a more intentional, peaceful life starts here. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember, your path to greatness begins with the next choice you make.